Hello, and welcome to the Teaching Assistant Workshop. At the University of Memphis, one of our guiding ideals is our commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. You can think of our office, the Office for Institutional Equity, as the office that holds the U of M accountable to these ideals and ensures an educational experience for students that is free from discrimination and harassment. As teaching assistants, you will have significant contact with students and an important role in their educational experience. Therefore, you're critical in shaping our campus culture. In this presentation, we will review our office's roles and responsibilities at the U of M, as well as discuss some important expectations that we have for you as teaching assistants. OIE has three primary responsibilities at the University of Memphis. First, we're responsible for enforcing U of M's policies on discrimination and harassment based on protected classes. And those protected classes include race, color, religion, creed, ethnic or national origin, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, disability, age, veteran status, and genetic information. Second, we are responsible for developing and implementing a campus-wide comprehensive prevention program for sexual violence and intimate partner violence. And finally, we are responsible for overseeing and supporting the university's compliance efforts with state and federal laws and regulations. OIE enforces three of the university's policies. The first policy, GE 2004, is our affirmative action policy, and it ensures fair and equal treatment in employment. Our other two policies you will have more interactions with as a teaching assistant. GE 2030 is our non-discrimination and anti-harassment, and this is based on Title VI from the federal government. This policy prohibits discrimination on the protected classes we reviewed earlier. And GE 2039 prohibits sexual harassment. This includes stalking, dating or domestic violence, or sexual assault. This is based on Title IX of the federal government. OIE provides interim remedies such as a no-contact order, class accommodations, and other supportive measures for students involved in the Title IX complaint process. It is important to note that in May 2020, the federal government, through the Department of Education, released new regulations concerning Title IX. The University of Memphis has been working to adapt our policies, practices, and procedures to comply with these new regulations. The new federal administration has communicated that these regulations may change again. We will receive updates as they occur and communicate with them with the campus community. It will be important for you to keep up with those updates as it may play a role in how you are responsible for Title IX as a teaching assistant. In terms of enforcement of our policies, if it is alleged that a community member, as in a student, faculty, or staff member, has violated any of our policies, OIE will investigate the alleged violations. They'll determine whether a community person is responsible for violating them, and ultimately they'll forward the issue to the appropriate department to determine what sanction is appropriate. The appropriate department for student-related issues is the Office for Student Accountability. For the faculty, it's the Provost Office, and for staff-related, Human Resources will make the sanctioning decisions. As I mentioned, OIE also has a role in preventing sexual and intimate partner violence. In June 2018, the U of M invested significant resources in providing a comprehensive training on prevention and events and programs for students to become engaged in preventing sexual and intimate partner violence using evidence-based strategies. The Prevention Center hosts large-scale campus events to engage the campus community on this issue and also trains in person and online in prevention strategies. As a teaching assistant, you may see the opportunity to become engaged in prevention work, and if you're interested, we highly encourage you to get involved. You can find more information about this work on our website at memphis.edu/Title IX. OIE also helps coordinate the U of M's compliance efforts in research, athletics, and institutional research, and other areas. As a teaching assistant, you probably won't have much interaction with compliance, but we wanted you to know that this is an additional function that we coordinate. So what you need to know as teaching assistants. The University of Memphis is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion and does not tolerate harassment or discrimination. So it is really important to know this personally, but also to think about how you, as a TA, can set an environment in your classroom that reflects these values. You will work with faculty members in your department to set this standard, but it's also important for you to model these behaviors as your students will look to you and trust the decisions you're making. We strongly encourage teaching assistants to report instances of sexual harassment and discrimination. By reporting this info, the university can quickly move to address the issue and help you in terms of managing your class. It's also important to know that all students must take a yearly online compliance training in the fall semester on sexual harassment. There are different trainings for different types of students, including a version made specific for graduate students, and also versions for new students, ongoing undergraduates, and student athletes. This helps us with our goal in reaching as many students as possible in order for them to know what their resources, expectations, and responsibilities are at the University of Memphis. And to note, some departments may require additional online training on these topics for their graduate assistants or teaching assistants. Due to the changes in Title IX regulations, reporting may not be mandatory, but we strongly encourage all of our teaching assistants to report instances of sexual harassment. We encourage these best practices when responding to student disclosure. So first, inform. You want to make sure you let your students know before disclosures that you will make reports to OIE. So for example, you can put a statement about reporting in a class syllabus. You'll want to listen and listen without judgment. It can be easy to make judgment calls or want to fix your student's issue. Avoid asking too many questions. Asking too many questions can make the student feel like you don't believe them, or they may simply not want to share with you other than what they've decided to tell you. It can also interfere with the student's desire to come forward and address the situation. Acknowledge. For a student to come to you with a disclosure of a traumatic event such as sexual harassment, it means they've placed a lot of trust in you as their teaching assistant. So you want to acknowledge the situation and the trust that the student has in you. You can say something like, I am sorry this happened to you. Thank you for trusting me and sharing this with me. Validate. Deciding to come forward to talk about a traumatic experience can be very difficult for a survivor, so it's important to validate them. You can say something like, I know how difficult it must be for you to tell me this. Respect. A traumatic experience like sexual harassment often takes away the agency from the survivor. So it's important to let them make as many decisions for themselves as possible relating to the disclosure. Some students may want to report to the police, but there are many reasons why a survivor may not want to. So you want to respect their wishes and boundaries. As much as possible, allow the student to be in control of what they share with you and their decision to report to the police, and be supportive of their decision. And finally, report, refer, connect. Report the incident to OIE. Reports can be made online at memphis.edu/OIE. If students are referred to OIE, we can provide supportive measures and explain their options under Title IX. It's important to note that just because a student is referred to OIE, it does not mean that their case has to be investigated or have to name an alleged perpetrator. Some students come to OIE simply to access interim measures, such as maybe changing their class schedule or switching housing, or putting a no contact order in place with the alleged perpetrator. You can also give resources to the students as well, such as encouraging them to seek counseling services on campus or to connect with victim services, both of which are confidential. These services are used to help students be informed of their options and to stay safe. We're here to help if you have any questions about our policies concerning harassment or discrimination, or how to report disclosures. You can visit memphis.edu/OIE to learn more about our policies and what we do as a whole. You can visit memphis.edu/Title IX to access resources, learn more about our prevention work, or learn how to get involved. You can also call us at 901-678-2713 or email us at oie@memphis.edu. Thank you so much for your attention, and we hope that your experience as a teaching assistant is valuable to you. We're excited to have you here in order to promote a campus culture that reflects our values and ideals.